Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Boy, I'm going to really have to yell to get you guys way back there. Huh? They don't listen?
If at any point you can't hear in the back of the room, make sure that you let us know.
Joel, you want to catch the doors over here? All right, I'll get them.
Lead by example, Pete.
Chuck needs a card over here. All right. Thank you all for being here today. I know Maple Grove has got a super duper busy weekend. You're going to have all kinds of soccer players and everything else in town, and it's going to be crazy for everybody. So I appreciate you taking just a little bit of time out of your day to be here with us. Anybody want to share with me what you've told you're going to do while you're here today? Oh, wait. Before I forget, I always forget to say this. Okay, this is an interactive event, okay? So that means I speak to you and you speak back to the team, everybody, okay? So let me ask that question again. What have they told you you're going to do today?
Party. Eat pizza.
Party, eat pizza. Rally? What's that? Give outrageous guest service? We're going to do a lot of things today, and I want to just kind of point your attention to start out with to our word cloud here. In our word cloud, you can see the highlighted words leadership, core values, and vision. Those are the three things that we're really going to talk about today. And we're going to start out with leadership. We'll move to core values. We'll go to vision. You'll see that leadership is represented in our word cloud here by all of the TPI cities being shown on this word cloud. Bloomington, Eagan, Golden Valley, Fairmont, everybody's in there because we're a team. Core values are represented by the actual core values. How many core values does TPI have? Everybody's counting on their card right now, right? 9. All right, 9. So all 9 of our core values are shown here as well. The other word is vision. And vision is represented by TPI's vision statement. What's TPI's vision statement?
Whatever it takes for outrageous guest service, you have the power.
All right, you guys rock. We're gonna have fun today. So before we get started, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Pete Brummelkamp, Vice President with Torgerson Property, or with TPI Hospitality. I'm sorry. You guys know Mitch Peterson, President of TPI Hospitality, and Joel Vogler in the back there, Vice President of Hotel Operations, and you see him around a little bit. So the three of us are going to try to provide you with a great message, and I really hope that you're able to walk out of the door today with a little bit of nugget, a little nugget of something that you can take out of our meeting that is going to help you create your own personal success. Because as you succeed, that helps your entire team succeed. So let's start out with leadership. Leadership is our first category we're going to talk about. I want to share with you, well, how do you guys define leadership? What does leadership mean to you?
Setting an example.
Setting an example? Okay. What else? Guidance.
Steward. Setting the example. Ownership.
Empowerment. Ownership. Motivate. Right here. Right there. Empowerment. Yep. Taking charge. What did you guys say? Motivate. Ownership. All these things. We could sit here all day and throw out words that are very similar to leadership and really identifies or defines leadership. I want to share with you a video. This video is one that we showed last December at our annual GM meeting. Every December we get the GMs together. And we shared this video, and it was really neat because in the following days after that meeting, I had numerous general managers reach out to me and say, I would love a copy of that video because it was so informative, and it set such a great example for what we're talking about. So I'm going to share this video with you, and then we'll talk some more about it.
So, Coach, how strong is Westview this year?
A lot stronger than we are.
You already written Friday night down as a loss, bro?
Well, not if I knew we could beat them.
Come here, Brock. You too, Jeremy.
What, am I in trouble now?
Not yet. I want to see you do the death crawl again, except I want to see your absolute best.
What, you want to go to the 30?
I think you go to the 50.
50. I can go to the 50 if nobody's on my back.
I think you can do it with Jeremy on your back. But even if you can, I want you to promise me you're going to do your best.
All right.
Your best.
Okay.
You going to give me your best?
I'm going to give you my best.
All right, one more thing. I want you to do it blindfold.
Why?
Because I want you giving up at a certain point when you can go further. Get down. Jeremy, get on his back. Do a good tight hold, Jeremy. All right. Let's go, Brock. Keep your knees off the ground. Just your hands and feet. There you go. A little bit left. A little left. There you go. Jeremy, good effort. That way, Brock. You keep coming. There you go. It's a good start. A little bit left. A little bit left. There you go, Brock. Good strength. That's it, Brock. That's it.
Better than 20 yet?
Forget the 20. You give me your best. You keep going. That's it. No, don't stop, Brock. You got more in you than that.
I ain't done. Just resting a second.
You got to keep moving. Let's keep moving. Let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left. There you go. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving, Brock. So you keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving. Your very best. Your very best. Your very best. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. Don't quit on it. Keep going. Keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. That's it. Your very best. Don't quit on it. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go. That's it. You keep driving. Keep your knees off the ground. Keep driving. Don't quit till you got nothing left. Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. I want everything you got. Come on, keep going. Hurts. Don't quit on it. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go.
He's heavy.
I know he's heavy.
I'm tired of strength.
And you negotiate with your buddies to find more strength, but don't you give up on me, Brock. You keep going, you hear me? You keep going, you're doing good, you keep going. Do not quit on me. You keep going. I know, Eric, you keep going. You keep going. It's all hard from here. 30 more steps. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Keep going. And let it burn. It's all hard. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Come on. Keep going. You have to be your best. Your best. Don't stop. Keep going. It's not too hard. You keep going. Come on, Brock. Give me more. Give me more. Keep going. 20 more steps. 20 more. Keep going, Brock. Give me your best. Don't quit. No. motivating, so will they. Don't tell me you can't give me more than what I've been seeing. You just carried a 140-pound man across this whole field in your arms. Brock, I need you. God's gifted you with the ability of leadership. Don't waste it.
Coach?
Can I count on you? Yes.
Coach?
What is it, Jerry?
I want 160.
You know, I can tell you that I know I've personally watched that video. I'm sure it's been 50 times, probably more. There's been times where I'm just having a bad day. I'll pull up that video to watch it because it gives me a sense of perspective. You suppose that coach was a leader? What makes you believe that that coach was a leader? Encouragement?
He believed in his player.
He believed in his player. He was motivating his player. He got more out of Brock than he ever thought he could have given. You know, Brock's saying, well, I could make it to the 30 or maybe the 50 with nobody on my back. And here he had a guy who was at 160 on his back for 100 yards. That's leadership. That's amazing leadership. And really, my favorite part of that entire video is when they're laying on the ground and he says, that's got to be the 50. It's, you know, I don't have any more. And he says, look up, Brock. You're in the goal line. You're in the end zone. And then he says to Brock, Brock, you've been gifted with the ability of leadership. Don't waste it. Everybody in this room, all the way around here, there's probably 60, 70 people in this room. Everybody in this room has the gift of leadership. Whether you choose to use it or not is up to you. Nobody can force you to use it. And you'll hear me say this several times today. Don't waste that ability you've been given, because it creates success for you and for all those people around you. And we're going to talk a lot about leadership as we continue to go. You know, in our world today, there's lots of leaders. What qualifies somebody to be a leader? Like some of these people, Jack Welch, huge leader. What makes these people leaders? The examples they set. Okay. What else? They inspire people. Absolutely. Everybody up there, I think, has inspired people. Humble? Humble?
Being willing to take responsibility for your decision based on the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, you're looking at all these famous pictures, or these pictures that most of these people we know by name. What do you suppose came first for these people? Their fame or their leadership? Their leadership. Absolutely. It's the leadership and the leadership skills that they used throughout their lives that created their popularity, fame, whatever you want to call it. that's really impactful. And, you know, we talk about definitions. I like to share this definition because this really is a great definition of leadership. Leadership is influence that maximizes the efforts of others to achieve success. Leadership is influence that maximizes the efforts of others to achieve success. Can you see how each and every one of you in this room has the ability of leadership? Do you think you could maximize the efforts of others to achieve success? Yeah, you can. You don't have to be a general manager or president of the company or a vice president to show leadership. Leadership is simple things. Sometimes it's just you having a warm smile for the person you're working next to. How many people in here like smiles? Do you like people that stand around you and smile? Yeah, you do. Because as I'm smiling now, I see a lot of smiles coming back to me again. That's a sense of leadership. It's not always the big things like that coach did. That was a big thing. That was a great example of leadership. But we all have the ability to lead in little ways too. Let me show you another definition that I really enjoy. A leader leads by example and is always focused on the success of others rather than his or her own success. I got to say that again. A leader leads by example and is always focused on the success of others rather than his or her own success. You know how I said earlier today that I was hoping that you would just take a little nugget out of our meeting today? If there's anything you take, it's this. And what I really need you to take with you is that you will create your own personal success as you help those around you succeed. Very simple formula, but I guarantee you that if you assist the people around you to be successful, you yourself will become successful. I guarantee it. And when we get into our core values, we're going to talk about core values today in addition to leadership and everything else. We talk about that. And we talk about how important it is to make the people around us successful. Let me give you an example. I'm a housekeeper. I just get done doing my rooms. Let's say I did 14 rooms. And I'm all excited. It's 2 o'clock or whatever time. I'm ready to get off because I got my 14 rooms done. And I load up my cart, get all my stuff done, and I look down the hallway, and I see my fellow housekeeper who's only gotten through 11 rooms. And all I heard about all day was how excited she was to get off work today and try to get off early because she's going to a family reunion. So now I have a choice to make. My choice is, do I just take off and go on and enjoy the rest of my day? Or do I maybe go down the hall and help my fellow housekeeper finish up those last 3 rooms? What do you think would be the best sense of leadership? Absolutely. We could go down, I could go down and help her out, and the 2 of us could knock those last 3 rooms out in no time. 2 people can really do a lot of damage in a room, a lot faster than 1 person. That's a great sense of creating success not only for yourself, but for your fellow associates. And sometimes we get into that situation where we do things like that. Maybe we stick around, we help our fellow associate, or we come in really early, or we stay late because it's busy. This weekend, a lot of you are going to have to do that. People are going to be coming in early, staying late, and everything else to make it work because we've got a really busy weekend. Well, you may not always get recognized for that. Has anybody ever really worked hard and not been recognized in here? I have. I'm sure everybody in this room has at one point. But let me tell you this. No matter whether you think somebody's recognizing you or not, somebody sees it. Somebody knows what you're doing. And they may not always come up and pat you on the back and say, hey, that was a great job. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. But they see it. They know it's happening. Don't pass up that opportunity to make yourself successful. And certainly, in that example I used with the housekeepers, I created success for myself because I know that fellow housekeeper that I helped out really appreciated what I did. And I also know that sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes I'm going to be that housekeeper that's way behind, and I sure wish somebody would come and help me with my last 3 rooms. One more definition I want to share with you about leadership. And this one is just a great real-life definition. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Does that just make great sense? Absolutely. If you can inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams, pretty intelligent guy. Pretty intelligent guy to be able to say something like that. You know, we'll go through some more pictures here, but all of these people you're seeing here, all current associates with TPI Hospitality, they all lead in different ways. Many of these people you'll recognize, many of these people you won't recognize, but they all have the ability to lead. The important thing to remember is that we take the opportunity to lead. As the coach said in the video, you've been gifted with the gift of leadership. Don't waste it. Because if you don't use it, you're wasting it. You know, of all the famous leaders we looked at, this was one of the people that were on there as a famous leader. Does anybody recognize this person?
I'd be willing to take a guess.
Take a guess.
Tom Torgerson?
That's not Tom Torgerson, nope, but that's the first time we had that guess.
Yeah, thank goodness Tom's not here.
Yeah.
It's a guess. It's a guess.
That's a good guess. Very good guess.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else want to take a guess? We've heard, what have we heard? Wendell Anderson. Oh, Al Franken. Yeah, we heard Al Franken.
Yeah.
Well, this gentleman, he's a decorated Navy veteran. He was part of the IBM Corporation, I believe, over 40 years as an engineer with the IBM Corporation. At one point, he was even encouraged to run for governor of the state of Minnesota. Does that make it any more clues? Well, I'm really, really proud to tell you that this guy's my dad. And now your question is, why is he showing us a picture of his stupid dad? Okay, that's going through your minds, right? Why is he showing us a picture of his dad? Well, because in my life, this guy was an amazing leader. And unfortunately, at times, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even see it. And I want to tell you a couple examples because real life examples really help us understand things. I can recall back probably about, maybe about this, he was probably a little bit older than this at this point, but I was about 5, 6 years old. And running around the neighborhood with all my buddies, and we're playing war. You know, we all have our guns, like we're shooting with hockey sticks, and we're using pogo sticks, and everything else we can as guns, and we're shooting each other. And we get to a point where we're near our neighbor's house, and our neighbors kind of live back behind our house, and And they had a beautiful patio on the back with this wicker fence that went around their patio. And, you know, as smart 5- and 6-year-olds, you know, we thought we had the whole world by the tail. And we discovered that, you know what? We could see the other guy on the other team over there through the fence, so we could stick our gun right through the fence and shoot him. So we just start doing this, you know, and we're kind of just destroying this nice wicker fence around their patio. And it was nasty, and we kind of destroyed the thing pretty good. And of course, we're 5 or 6 years old, we don't think anything of it. And so I go home later that day, and my mom's at home. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she says, "I've been looking for you. I just got a call from Mrs. Masarchik, who was our neighbor, and she just told me what you boys did." And then she said to me, she says, and you've probably heard this before, she says, well, yeah, you just wait till your father gets home. Exactly. You better give him a card for that. That's exactly what she said. And immediately I'm petrified. Oh my God, am I in trouble? My dad is going to just whoop me until there's no tomorrow. Because my dad was very famous for applying some pretty good spankings when I was 5, 6 years old. He'd put me right over his knee and he'd let us have it, along with the rest of my brothers. And so Dad comes home later that day, and because I'm laying in my bed, and I'm just waiting for him to call down, "Pete, come down here for a minute." And as I'm thinking about this, it dawns on me, you know what? He's gonna give me a spanking, but I'm gonna outsmart this guy. He's not so smart. So what I do is I slip on about 8 or 10 pair of underwear underneath my pants. And now it's like, oh, he can spank me all night, ain't gonna hurt me. I don't care how long he spanks me. So I think I'm pretty smart. And I go down the stairs, and finally, I go downstairs. He says, "Pete, come down here a bit." So I come down, and he sits me down. He says, "Tell me about what happened." And I told him, and he says, "Well, do you think that was the right thing to do?" And I said, "No." He said, "What do you think we should do about this?" And I said, "Well, I should probably apologize to the Masarchiks. And I should probably help to get the fence fixed." And he said to me, "You're darn right." He says, "You're going to go over to the Masarchiks now and apologize for what happened. And then I'm also going to make sure that you stay busy all summer working for me so you can earn enough money to pay for that fence." That was a long summer for me. And then he said, "Now go up to your bed." And so I'm going back up to my bed, with my underwear on, and I'm kind of scratching my head thinking, why the heck didn't he just, spank the heck out of me? And I thought about that for the longest time, and it was years later before I figured it out. And I'll give you one more example of how I believe this guy's a great leader. In my high school days, like all of you, I never got into trouble in high school. I was just an angel. Never got into trouble. Well, except for one time maybe. And there was a time where me and again some of my buddies thought, "Oh, this is cool. We're going to skip school." It was during the state hockey tournament, and of course back then they start playing games in the afternoon, and you wanted to see all the games. So we decided we were going to cut school. We got a hotel room. We got all kinds of beer, and we were going to sit in this hotel room all day and watch this game and drink beer. Great plan. In fact, I'll tell you right now, that was one of the greatest days of my life. I can honestly tell you that right now. We had a blast all day long, just watching hockey and drinking beer and having a good time. And it was great until the principal of our school found out about what was going on. And of course, he makes the call home during the day, and my mom's there. So he tells my mom all about what happened. And then later that afternoon, I get home off the bus and I walk in the house, and immediately my mom says to me, "Wait till your father gets home." So immediately, again, I'm petrified. Now, I'm not so scared he's going to spank me. I'm 16, 17 years old. He's not going to spank me now. But I figure he's probably going to ground me for the rest of my life and never let me drive the car again, which for a high school student is pretty bad. So I sit in my bed all afternoon into the evening before my dad gets home, and I hear his car pull into the driveway, and immediately I'm just, oh God, what's going to happen? And I just stayed in my room, and he never called me down. And then all of a sudden my door opened in my room, and my dad walked in. And he sat down on my bed with me, and he said, your mom kind of told me what had happened. And again, he said, do you think that was the right thing to do? And I said, no, I guess not. And then he said something very simple to me. He said, there's only one thing that you bring into the world with you, and there's only one thing you take out of the world when you leave, and that's your name. And what you do with that name from the day you're born until the day you leave this earth defines that name. It defines who you are. Is this what you want Pete Brummelkamp remembered as? And by this time, tears are just flying down my face. And I said, no, it's not. He says, okay. He got up, he walked out of the room. We never talked about it again. And that what he did to me that night has stuck with me for my entire life. I think about it regularly. And is that an example of leadership? Yeah, I think that's a great example of leadership, because he was just trying to tell me how to live life. He was trying to teach me the difference between right and wrong. A great example of leadership, and something that has stuck with me forever. So I'm really fortunate to be able to tell you those stories, and I'm sure everybody in this room could tell everybody else about people who have really affected your life, who have really impacted your life, and they did it because they were leaders. You've also impacted other people's lives in the same manner, because you have the ability of leadership. Let's move on from this, and I forgot the first thing, but we'll catch up. We're going to do a little exercise. Everybody stand up. No, I got behind on this. All right, enough storytelling for a little while. Everybody stand up and stretch, and this is what we're going to do. If you can see Joel back there and Mitch up front here, they're going to hold up a word. And what I need you to do is I need you to go to whichever word best describes you, whether it's Joel's word or Mitch's word. And the key here is speed. We got to do this quick, so move as fast as you can without any workers' comp claims, okay? Let's not run anybody over. So let's take a look at that first word. First word is vanilla or chocolate.
I know.
Which word describes you? Jeepers. We got some vanillas. All right. Vanilla caught up here at the end, but I think chocolate's got it. Typically, chocolate's won every time. I don't know if vanilla's won very much at all. All right, let's look at the second word. What's the second word you guys got? Pizza or steak? Which best describes you? What do you like, pizza or steak? Oh. Now we got oh boy. Steak is a big winner. Wow. That's unusual, because pizza's been pretty strong, hasn't it? All right, let's look at word 3. Coke or Pepsi? What do you like, Coke or Pepsi?
We just talked about that.
Oh man, Pepsi's in trouble. All right. Way to go, Coke. All right, Coke. Is it Coke or is it Joel that you guys are attached to over there? All right, number 4. Let's look at number 4. Chevy or Ford? What do you like better, Chevy or Ford?
We don't want to pound on road day.
Yeah, there you go.
My dad was a Chevy mechanic.
No, then you better come over here. That's right. Oh, we knew this guy was going to be over at Chevy here. Chuck is Mr. Chevy himself right there. We didn't have Dodge to put in the middle here. All right, I think we have one more word. Let's look at the last word. We got Packers or Vikings? Packers or Vikings? Come over to the good side.
That's a good way to end it. Right there.
Look at all the Packer fans. No, no neutral. You got to be one or the other.
We now know who's going to be terminated.
Yep. Your jobs are all in jeopardy now. All right, everybody have a seat again. Thank you very much. The reason I really wanted to use that exercise, because first of all, it's fun, it gets some interaction going. It's kind of fun to see who likes what. But it's really to illustrate to everyone that we all see the world differently. You know, some of us like Pepsi, some of us like Coke, some of us like pizza, some of us like steak. We all see the world differently. And as leaders, we have to understand that everyone around us also sees the world differently. Those people you're working with, whether you're in maintenance or the housekeeping department or the front desk or management, whatever you do, you have to understand that all those people around you see the world differently than you do. And that means that as a leader, sometimes you treat people a little bit differently. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody gets treated exactly the same. That's an important quality of a good leader, is understanding the people working around you. And it helps you really become a strong leader, an effective leader. So kind of a fun exercise, and I'm glad we took a moment to take care of that. Let's move on to our second section of core values. Does anybody tell me how do you define core values? What do core values mean? What does that mean?
Something you live by.
Something you live by? Absolutely.
Something that's very important.
Something that's very important, Tim?
Something you believe in.
Something you believe in? What was that? A foundation. Yep. Foundation. You know, they're really, there are fundamental beliefs. And again, everyone in this room has a different set of personal core values. Nobody in this room probably has an identical list of core values. And with TPI Hospitality, our core values are really, there are guiding principles. Our core values guide us in everything we do. And one of the points of having this gathering today is to be able to talk about the core values and make sure that all of us are aligned with those core values. How many core values are there? 9. Now everybody knows the answer to that question. Very good. You know, whether it's Mitch making an important decision in his position, or maybe Tom Torgerson making a decision on whether or not he wants to build another hotel or another restaurant or remodel a hotel or whatever. Maybe it's that housekeeper I talked about earlier who was getting off work and saw that his or her fellow housekeeper still had 3 more rooms to go. No matter what decision we make, those decisions must be aligned with our 9 core values. Doesn't make any difference what your role is in our organization. Those decisions have to be aligned. And that's one of the keys to our success. We've had a list of core values in our organization ever since day one. Back in 1929, when Tom Sr. started the clothing store. Actually, Tom Sr., I guess, started the clothing store. Had those same core values. And now, again, one of the reasons we're having this gathering is because we want to make sure that we all understand the core values and that we're all aligned with those same 9 core values. Absolutely.
There's, how many of you in the room are parents? So as a parent, do you have the ability, the time or the ability to follow your child around during the course of their day when they're making decisions? I know I didn't as a parent, and I don't. And one of the ways, there's a parallel between what we're talking about here and parenting, in that as a parent, you try to instill values in your child so that when they're faced with making a decision, they make a decision that's consistent with those values. This is really no different. These are, as Pete said, there are guiding principles, and it's important. We don't want to, nor do we have time to follow everybody around the normal course of your job. We want to provide you the independence to enjoy your work, but we also need to know or have a sense of confidence that when you're making decisions, that it's consistent with where our core values are, just like with parenting.
That's a great example of how important core values are and how core values are ingrained in everything we do, not just at work, but whether you're at work or at church or at school or at home or wherever you're at, those core values are going to play an important part in your life. So, without looking down at that card that's in front of you, can you guys tell me what the first core value is?
Set the example.
Set the example for others to follow. What does that mean? Anybody want to tell me how you define that?
Lead by example.
Lead by example? Absolutely.
Walk the walk and talk the talk.
Walk the walk and talk the talk. You know, leading by example is really, really powerful, because when the person working next to you is really doing a great job and really executing their role to their fullest, you want to do the same, don't you? Absolutely you do. You want to do the same. You want to set the example for others to follow. And what I just did was not a very good example of setting the example for others to follow. Because
So because I called you, that wasn't a good example?
you didn't call me. I should have turned my phone off before we started. That's not a very good example. So I apologize for that. Very powerful core value. All of our core values are important, and just because this one's listed first doesn't mean it's more important. What's the acronym that we're going to spell out as we go through our core values?
Stay sharp.
Stay sharp. Good job. So we did S. What's T going to be?
Tenure is reinvented.
Tenure is reinvented. What's tenure? Anybody want to tell us what tenure is? Time of service? Yeah, your longevity, absolutely. And when we say tenure is reinvented, what we mean is that at TPI Hospitality, that, you know, whether it's your first day or you've been with TPI for, Todd, how many years? 22? 23? Okay. So whether it's my first day today or whether it's Todd's 23rd year, the expectations of your role is exactly the same. You know, because someone's been with the organization for a long time does not provide that person any extra privileges, you know, like they can come into work 10 minutes late all the time or they can leave whenever they want. It doesn't work that way. The expectations have to be the same. And that's what we mean when we say tenure is reinvented. We love it when people stay in our organization for a long period of time. And the reason being is because as you work in your role, you become better. Every day you get better at what you're doing because of the experiences you're experiencing. And you become more valuable to the organization. But at the same time, even though you might be more valuable to your team, the expectations never lessen. The expectations remain the same. That's why tenure is reinvented. So that's S, T, what's the next one? Accountability first. Accountability first. What does that mean? Anybody throw out ideas? Taking what? Taking responsibility for your actions? Over here too, there's both the same one there. Yeah, it is. It's taking responsibility for your actions. And how many people in this room have heard the phrase above the line or below the line? Does anybody want to share with us what you believe that means?
Traditionally, the line is the median, the average, and if you're above the line, you're superior, and if you're below the line, you're less so.
Okay, that could be one definition of it. Absolutely. What else, anybody else want to throw out any ideas on what above the line or below the line means? Tim?
Going the extra mile or taking the mile away.
Okay, very good. Very good. Yep. Right. You know, when we say above the line, below the line, that's in reference to what book? The Oz Principle. Yep. And in the Oz Principle, I mean, there's a lot of great information in that book, but in a nutshell, what it says is that in everything we do in our life, you know, whether it's at work, at school, at home, wherever we're at, there's a thin line that separates how we react to our circumstances. If we fall below that line, it means that we are always the victim. It's always somebody else's fault. I didn't cause that, you know. I just got here. That would be below the line behavior, not taking responsibility for your own circumstances. Staying above the line would be taking responsibility for those circumstances and practicing the steps of see it, own it, solve it, do it. Have you heard that before? If you haven't, you're probably going to hear more about it in the future. But staying above the line means that you see that there's a problem, and you take ownership of it. Even though you didn't cause that problem, you take ownership of it. Then you come up with a solution to fix that situation, and then you do it. You follow through and you fix that situation or make that situation better. You know, the example I always use, let's say I work at the front desk and I come in at 3 o'clock, I'm working 3 to 11, and I come in and the front desk is just wiped out. Everything's all screwed up. You know, there's people that got the wrong room keys, or they're checked into the wrong room, or people aren't getting the room type they were supposed to get, and everything's all messed up. The counter's a mess. Well, what I could do, I could be below the line, just throw my hands up in the air and say, hey, this ain't my fault. You know, Sean worked today. This is his fault. He was working morning shift, and this place is a mess. That's his fault. He's going to fix it. Now, that might happen, but when that happens and Sean just gets done with his shift, we don't want to be below the line and become the victim and say, it's not my problem. We want to work with Sean to fix that problem, stay above the line, and understand that even though you didn't create that situation, you have an opportunity to fix it and make it better. And again, this might be one of those things that you never get recognized for, but I guarantee you somebody's watching. Somebody sees it or somebody hears about it. And, you know, the hospitality industry runs way too fast. You know, it's not like when we're working, we're just sitting there like this, just waiting for something to happen. You know, I'm at the front desk just waiting for somebody to come in. I'll tell you what, this afternoon at your front desk, if it hasn't started already, it's going to start momentarily. You guys are going to get your you-know-what handed to you. Well, our business moves fast. We have to keep moving with it. And the only way we can do that is to stay above the line. And don't be that victim. Don't allow yourself to be that victim, that person on the bottom who's always going to blame somebody else. Take responsibility, because if you do, that's what accountability is all about. And accountability first means that those people that take responsibility for their situation are going to be winners and are going to be successful. Anybody in here that doesn't want to be successful? I don't think we've had a hand up yet in this, have we? I ask that question every time. Haven't seen a hand go up yet. Create your own success. STA, what's the next one? Why?
Because.
You before me.
You before me. What does that mean?
Put others before yourself.
Put others before yourself. Exactly. That's a pretty simple one, isn't it? To always look for an opportunity to assist those people around you. Base your actions on what's best for the person working next to you, rather than what's best for you. Remember the example I was telling you about the housekeeper? That was a you before me, because that housekeeper went down the hall and helped the fellow housekeeper out, because you, meaning the person working next to you, is more important than me. And you know what's funny about this is that sometimes you're not always the me. Sometimes you're the you. Sometimes you're that housekeeper that's down the hall and would like to get out of work but has 3 more rooms to use. And wouldn't it be great when somebody came to help you out? Absolutely.
This is actually a really good point between the parallels with parenting and just core values. It's really consistent with one of the things that my dad instilled in me as a kid, and that was, I was kind of a selfish kid, and he would have nothing of it. And he made it very clear to me and drove it into me that, you know, if I wanted something, the best way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want and need. And I think with Pete, it didn't actually, I heard it throughout my young life, but it was not till I was quite a bit into my career that it actually triggered and went off. And I got to tell you, my career path and my successes changed significantly, because I started focusing on taking care of other people as opposed to taking care of myself. And the magical thing that happened was, in the process of doing that, people started to take care of me. And I made them successful. They created my success.
I'm going to go back to that nugget I talked about earlier. For you to create success for yourself, you need to allow those around you to be successful and assist them being successful. All those supposedly famous people that we saw on the screen here, they did that. They looked at other people before they looked at themselves. That's you before me. S-T-A-Y, what? S-T-A-Y-S, what does that stand for in this case? Service and guest satisfaction. We're going to try to get through this a little quicker than we did our last, we spent 45 minutes on this category, this sentence alone at the last rally. But that's good, because that's great feedback. But what does service and guest satisfaction mean? Doing whatever it takes? Okay?
Guest comes first.
Guest comes first, above and beyond.
Great service brings guest satisfaction.
Anticipate the guest needs, a great one. Anticipation is really, really important.
Also, asking if the guests receive their service request the next day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could sit here and talk about service and guest satisfaction all day long, but we're not going to go into it too much because our third section that we go into is about our vision statement, and that's all about service and guest satisfaction, right? Absolutely. But I guess what's important about this is that, you know, this is what we do. This is why we're in the hospitality industry, is to be able to provide service and guest satisfaction, not only to our guests, but to those people working around us as well. You know, the best way to provide a great experience for our guests is to be proactive. Who said, somebody back there said be proactive. I can't remember who it was. I heard proactive come out of the back, but being proactive, you know, don't wait until you're walking down the hall to whatever your role is, and some guest pulls you aside and just starts screaming at you because there's a problem. Let's be proactive and identify those problems before they actually occur. I challenge every one of you sitting in this room this weekend to avoid any unsatisfied guest. That's a pretty tough challenge, isn't it? You know why it's a tough challenge? Because our guests all have different expectations, don't they? You have one guest who's just happy-go-lucky. They don't care what happens. They don't care if their room's got cobwebs and everything. They don't care. They're happy. You got the other person who finds one peck of dust on the top of the TV, and you're going to hear about it. It's not their fault that they have different expectations. That's our challenge. We have to know our guests, and we have to act proactively to make sure that we are meeting or, in this case, exceeding their expectations.
And this is a point where I'm compelled to interrupt or pause just for a second. Who we are and what we are about as a company, as TPI Hospitality. You know, first and foremost, we're in the hospitality business. But it's really important to remind everyone that it doesn't, without regard for what your position is within the company, this is your primary responsibility. It'd be very easy. I've worked for other companies where if I was in the kitchen, my job was to cook. If I was in a room attendant, my job was to, you know, prepare a room. If I was a van driver, my job was to drive a van. That was it. That was the number one job. Not in this company. Your number one job, your number one responsibility is guest satisfaction. That doesn't matter what you do. And I will tell you, especially in the positions that are in the back of the house, guests have expectations, like when they come to a front desk at a hotel or a restaurant. They expect to receive guest service. One of the most impactful things, though, that we can all do is as simple as engaging with a guest, whether we're maintenance, housekeeping, driving a van, providing a smile and a greeting. And I'll guarantee you that's something that other companies aren't doing, and it's really simple to do. But I would just ask each of you to evaluate when you're considering what your job or your role is in the company, that the guest satisfaction piece is the absolute number one priority. And with everything that you do, please remember that and perform against that. And we will have very, very satisfied guests for a long period of time to come.
Great. So STAYSH is for what? Honest and straightforward. This one's sometimes hard. Sometimes we have to hear things we don't want to hear. Sometimes we have to say things we don't want to say. But is there anybody in this room who doesn't like to know how they stand? I mean, it's like, let's say you're in college or in high school or any kind of school, and you take all these tests all semester long and everything else, and you wait till the end of the semester, and then they give you your grade. Do you think that's how it should work? Well, no, because you got to know how you're doing. You got to know if you had an F on this test or an A on that test, or you go in and talk to your professor or your teacher and ask them how you're doing, or they tell you how you're doing. Yeah, we need to hear that. We need to know how we stand and how we're doing. And if we don't have honest and straightforward feedback, how do we get better? How do we grow personally? We don't. We just stagnate. And we have to understand that not only sometimes is it hard for us to hear some things, sometimes it's difficult to be able to communicate that to someone else because maybe it's not what they want to hear. We have to be honest with each other, and we have to be straightforward. And part of that is being able to say, I don't understand. I don't know what that means. That was my fault. I'm sorry. That's honest and straightforward. Don't beat around the bush. You got, like I was saying earlier, our industry moves way too fast. We don't have time for, games and communication that's not completely straight. Honest and straightforward is a great way to not only understand where you stand, but to allow those around you to understand how they're performing as well. STAYSHA for autonomy is earned. What's autonomy? Independence. Who said independence? That's a great one. That's exactly what it is. It's independence. How many in here enjoy being micromanaged? Yeah. Nobody micromanages you, believe me. Micromanage, do you like it if somebody stands right over your shoulder all day long and says, okay, now do this, and now go do this, and now go do that? Do you enjoy that? I don't think anybody enjoys that. When we talk about autonomy is earned, we mean that autonomy or independence is something that is earned. It's earned through your actions. It's earned by you demonstrating that you have the ability to have that autonomy. The last part of our vision statement, we're going to talk about it here in a minute. Last part of our vision statement says what? You have the power. That's not just a cool phrase. We think it's, oh, that's cool, you got the power. That's not what it is. It means you are empowered. And that empowerment doesn't happen by accident, and it's not maintained by accident. It happens because whoever sat down and did your interview and interviewed you thought, hey, this person is somebody that fits our culture. They can work in a more independent nature. And if you can't maintain that and you can't make sure that you're earning your autonomy, it may be taken away from you. And you might become micromanaged. And if you're being micromanaged, that's not a good sign. That means you won't be around. Because our culture demands that, through our core values, that we have autonomy. Because we know that we're going to be more productive and more satisfied with what we do when we have that autonomy. STAYSHA-R, respect one another. We'll cut right to the chase here. This is self-explanatory. We have to respect those people working around us. How do you do that? How do you respect people working around you? Anybody want to throw out ideas? Treat others the way you'd want to be treated. These guys nailed it. Yeah, the golden rule.
Listen.
And listen, yeah, absolutely.
Understand that not everybody has the same beliefs or values or ideas as you, or religion or whatever, and so you have to respect that.
Exactly. Just like our exercise where we were on both sides of the rooms going back and forth because some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi. We all see the world differently. We all have different beliefs. But our culture demands that when we come to work, we respect the fact that we do all have different beliefs, that we do all see the world differently. And that means that, you know, just because you like to go home and use a lot of foul language, doesn't mean you come to work and use foul language. Because that person working next to you may not appreciate that. And they shouldn't have to come to work and be exposed to that. Does it happen? Yeah, it does. This is a fast-moving industry. I mean, people get very stressed out and things happen. Yeah, I realize that. But it doesn't show respect for the people around us. And if you're working and somebody uses foul language, don't be afraid to call them on it. Say, hey, that's not appropriate. Or I don't appreciate that. Also, we got to understand that even simple things like, gossiping, talking about somebody else, that's very disrespectful. How many people in here have seen the In This Together video at orientation probably? I hope I see a few more hands than that go up, but you should have all seen the In This Together video at orientation. If you haven't seen it, because maybe you haven't had an orientation for years and years and years, ask your GM for it. They've got a copy of it, you can watch it. It's a brief, 15-minute video that talks about respect in the workplace. But what I really like best about that video is the one sentence. The one gal gets on there and she says, when you come to work, you create a new culture. That's the exact phrase that she uses. And that's very true. When we all come to work, when all of us come to work, we create a new culture. And that culture demands that we respect each other. We have to respect one another. So what's the last core value? S-T-A-Y-S-H-A-R. Pace setters win. This one's pretty self-explanatory. How many people have seen the core value videos that came out, our 9-week series? Did you see the example of the gazelle and the lion? Yep. Basically, it says every morning, a lion and a gazelle both wake up in the morning, and if you're the gazelle, you gotta outrace the lion. If you're the lion, you gotta outrace the gazelle. And no matter what happens, you better be running. And with our industry, that's the way it is, man. We're running. It's a fast-paced industry, and in our industry, pace setters win. If you can keep that pace, and if you can be assisting others to keep their pace, that creates success, not only for yourself, but for your entire team. So, can anybody, well, let me go to the last one here. Can anybody tell me what Zappos is? Anybody heard of Zappos? Shoes. All the women know shoes. Well, okay. So they sell men's shoes too, right? Well, 85% of them are women's shoes that they sell. But they sell men's shoes and they sell other products too and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things. But, that company, Zappos, was founded in 1999, so less than 15 years ago. And last year, for 2013, their overall revenues for the year were over $2 billion. $2 Just in online shoes. How many pairs of shoes is that, $2 billion? Holy moly. Well, you know, Zappos has got a really unique set of core values. You know, we talked about our 9 core values now today. Zappos also has a set of core values, and I want to share with you a video. You want to talk before or after? Okay. Mitch wants to share something with you.
I had the opportunity a few years ago to, and the privilege, I guess, to listen to Tony Hsieh speak, who's the CEO of Zappos, and he described their culture. And there's a lot of similarities with their culture and our culture. You know, they have core values, we have core values. They're a little bit more out there than we are, but he shared 2 different stories that stuck with me that kind of defined what their culture was all about. They're an online shoe retailer. They do sell some other things as well, but they're very unique in that there's no, like the return policy, you don't pay for return shipping. You can buy 100 pairs of shoes, you don't like them, they don't fit, you send them back, you don't pay for the shipping. And they've got over-the-top customer service department with the telephone center. And they actively receive and process orders, take care of issues with you know, customers, potential customers. And he went on to share that there was one lady, she was an older lady, widowed, kind of on the lonely side, but you know, would order 6 or 8 pair of shoes a year, sometimes maybe a few pair. But she was notorious for calling the call center. She, you know, get a little lonely, a little bored. So she'd call up and just talk to one of the reps. She wasn't ordering shoes, returning anything. She just called up to talk, for somebody to speak with. And there was one particular day, apparently something happened to her in her life, but she was really, really depressed and really lonely. Didn't sound like she had any family. So she called in, and Tony said that later in the day he picked up on the fact that you know, this gal who they all knew, even in the organization at large, had called, and today spoke for a little bit longer than typically she would. But he found out that the customer service rep was on the phone with her for almost 5 hours, for no other reason other than to provide that level of service. That's whether you buy 1 pair of shoes or 1,000 pair of shoes, we'll give you whatever you need. It's not about the shoes, it's creating joy or creating love.
And you'll see it in the core values.
Yeah. And then another one was that he was on the West Coast, and he was, as their business was expanding, he was trying to arrange a business deal with another company, and was trying to describe and explain their culture and the way they do things, and how their future was so much brighter than it would look like to anybody else. And they were traditionalists, and they didn't really see that, so they went day-long meetings, and then he tried to convince them into dinner, and still not there. So then they went off and found a little bar, and they were having drinks, and these guys were still not convinced. And finally, at about, I think it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, a light bulb went off, and he said, you know what, I think I can describe exactly what I'm talking about. We're not just an online retailer. We're not like anybody else. We sell something so much more than that. He said, so, you know, let me borrow your phone. He grabbed the phone, and he dialed the customer service, Zappos customer service. Didn't announce himself as Tony Hsieh, the CEO, just Joe Schmo. You know, hey, I'm a customer of yours. You know, I've ordered before, and I got kind of a problem. I'm in San Francisco, and I don't know the lay of the land. I don't have a car. I can't find a phone book, and I'm really hungry, and I'd like to order pizzas or any way you can help me out. So over the course of the next 2 minutes or so, the customer service agent got the number, or his phone number, credit card, whatnot. About 30 minutes later, and they finished their call. 30 minutes later, a guy walks in from a pizza shop, walks over to Tony's table and sets the pizza down. And needless to say, that sealed the deal. They believe in that. So it's an interesting company.
Let's take a look at the Zappos core values. I think you'll find.
Zappos, the core values are the foundation of our culture.
Core values to me are something that I use in my daily life.
The Zappos core values are a list of ideas, suggestions, whatever you call it, on how we run our business and how we treat customers, how we treat reps, how we treat our employees.
I think to me, the core values are what's the Zap and Zappos. It's what makes this company special and unique and a place that you want to get up and come to every day. It really drives you to be not only part of the company, but part of the Zappos family.
What are the 10 core values? They are deliver well through service,
embrace and drive change,
create fun and a little weirdness,
be adventurous, creative, and open-minded, pursue growth and learning,
build open and honest relationships with communication,
build positive team and family spirit,
do more with less, be passionate and determined.
And our favorite core value, be humble. I like to first say that I am the humblest person at Zappos.
My favorite core value is be humble, because I think in modern society as it is right now, being humble is not the most popular thing, especially when it comes to big business like ours. Well, we were a humble small business, and now we're a big business that's still humble. And I'd like to, and it really starts with Tony, the way that he is.
I have a lot of favorite core values, but one of my favorites is be passionate and determined. And we're actually sitting here in the training room where we just had the world premiere of the Zappos Benefits music video. It was really great watching everyone come together, and everyone was really passionate and determined to really just create a fun video that not only was fun but also educational, and did a good job of explaining the benefits. It's just amazing to see, you know, what a bunch of determined people can do when they're really passionate about something.
My favorite core value would have to be create fun and a little weirdness. Our finance department does a weekly parade called Random Acts of Kindness. We select 3 people that work at Zappos just randomly, present them with a little gift, we put a hat on them and take a picture, and that, I think, knocks out so many core values all at one time. It's definitely fun and weird.
The majority of us are pretty fun, a little weird, I like to think. I mean, people walk in the creative services room and I just scream at them. Stop! We just like to make each other laugh, and it makes life and work a lot more fun when you can have a good giggle every now and again.
My favorite core value is core value number 5, pursue growth and learning. I would point to our library out front, which I think everyone knows. That started out with Tony actually recommending books, great books that he read. It evolved into a library, which is now open to everyone in the company and all of our visitors.
I think the core values they speak a lot about what type of company Zappos is, because they're not just a list of things that we have up on a wall that we look at and ignore. We really try to live and breathe them in every aspect of operations here. We recruit based on them, we hire based on them, we live them out. Every department has their own interpretation of them. It's just something that Zappos really believes in. Is what helps make us the company that we are.
One of the things I really like about that video is at the end where she says, you know, our core values are not just something we just post on the wall. They live by those core values. And that's one of the similarities that we have with Zappos, is that we absolutely live by our core values. And as Mitch would tell you, and he's said it at many of our rallies, that we all live by the core values, no matter what our role is. And if you see Mitch or me or Joel or anyone not living that core values, call us on it. Tell us, that's not living our core value. Because we have to live those core values. That's what makes this an amazing company for so many years, and will continue to do for many years from now. Everything we do has to be aligned with our core values. How many core values do we have? 9. And what is it? What's the acronym? Stay sharp. What's the first one? Okay, now let's do this all together. What's the first one? All right, you can look at your cards if you want. We'll cheat. What's T? A? Y.
You before me.
Because.
I was waiting for it. He was a little behind. That's okay. S.
Service and guest satisfaction.
H.
Honest and straightforward.
A.
Talk to deserve.
R.
Respect one another.
P.
Pace setters win.
Nice. We all need to be aligned. We all need to understand our core values, and everything we do while we're at work needs to be aligned with these core values. Make sense, everybody? Absolutely. Now we've got a little activity we're going to do. We need some volunteers for this activity, though. How many do you think we need, Mitch?
Let's say probably 8 or 10, or 16 or 20.
Okay, we need 16 volunteers. So I need 8 people up here, and I need 8 people back by Joel back there.
4 people on this side of the pole.
Let's make it 20. 10 people at both poles. 10 people at both poles we need. Come on, we need 5 more volunteers up here. Here's 2 more. 3 more volunteers. 3 more volunteers.
David.
2 more volunteers. 2 more. Come on up. All right. All right, there you go. They have 10 back there?
So, shoulder to shoulder. Put your fingers up. Okay. Those fingers, and then you can kind of stagger them.
So put them right next to each other.
All right. Now.
You don't have to be touching, though. You can go like this. There you go. We're going to rest that rod on all the fingers. So just rest your rod on the fingers. Or rest your fingers.
I'm ready. The goal is to get the rod to the floor. The caveat is that anytime somebody's finger comes off the rod, you start over again.
You got to go back to the shoulder again.
Let her down. Let her down. Let her make it. Come on down.
We stop. Go down.
Come up, you got to start over.
Keep going down. Let her down another inch. Let's go.
Can't have fingers on top. Nice try, though.
One more try. Bring it back. One more try. What? Come on, go down. Keep going down. Keep going down. All right, come on down.
Halfway point.
Come on down.
Keep going. Keep going.
Come on down. Come on down.
What's going up? Chuck, you keep saying going down, but you're higher than that.
Chuck's fingers can't
Go down.
Chuck's fingers can't.
Oh, wait, where are you guys going?
The team back here did very well. The team back there did about as low as most anybody that we've had so far.
Yeah, probably.
But
my team knows how to raise the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're always trying to raise the bar, right? That's a great activity because it's a lot of laughs and it's fun to start seeing this thing go up when you're trying to go down. But you also notice like Chuck back there. Chuck was trying to be a leader. He was trying to give instructions, saying, "Let's do this, let's do that," and sometimes a leader has to step out there. A leader's got to step out and take a risk and take a chance once in a while. And that's part of leadership too. Leadership also needs great communication, right? We have to be able to communicate with each other. Leadership takes teamwork too. You help me, I help you. That's great leadership. So I hope you enjoyed doing that brief exercise. It's kind of fun just to laugh at it. So I really want to move on to our last category here. And before I do, don't forget to stay sharp. I'm hoping that Well, can anybody in here at this point, without looking at your cards, rehearse or recite all of the 9 core values? Mitch, you can't. I know. He's got them. If you can't, I challenge you again. I've challenged you several times today. Learn those core values so that they're front of mind, so that not only can you guide yourself by those core values, but you can help those around you to be guided by those core values too. So when you see someone not living the core value, you could be honest and straightforward with them and say, you know, in our culture, our core values demand whatever it is. So get to know those core values. They'll not only create success for you, but those people around you. Our last section is vision. We've already gone through leadership, we've gone through core values, now we're just going to touch on vision here towards the end. And let me ask you again, what is our vision statement?
Whatever it takes for outrageous guest service, you have the power.
So when I say to you, whatever it takes for outrageous guest service, you have the power, what does that mean? Anybody want to define that? What's that?
Whatever you need to do.
Whatever you need to do?
To make the guest happy. And you'll stand behind us.
Yeah, that's the important part, is that
You'll stand
corporate
behind us.
management will stand behind the decisions of the staff members when they're interacting with guests.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if you ever experience anything different than that, call me. I'm in all over the website, in the handbook. Don't hesitate to reach out, because we really mean that.
Our vision statement, and many of you that have gone through an MOD certification with me at some point, I always state that our vision statement is not a fancy phrase that we like to put onto a plaque, or you have a plaque in the back office or behind the front desk or something like that. It's so much more. It's who we are, it's who we will always be. And it basically, well, it says, whatever it takes for outrageous guest service, you have the power. That means you and 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 me and everybody else in this room. We are all empowered to the same degree. When it comes to guest service and delivering a great experience for our guest, no one is more empowered than anyone else. You have the exact same empowerment as Mitch Peterson does, or Joel, because we believe in your ability to make that decision. Many of you heard me tell the story about the guy who was sitting across. I was doing an interview one time and interviewing a guy for a general manager position, and I'm telling him about our vision statement and what it means. And he kind of stops and he looks at me funny and he says, "So you mean to tell me that you just let your employees do whatever they want?" And I kind of chuckled a minute for a second, and then I said, "You know what? That is it. That's exactly it. We do let them do whatever they want because we believe in their ability to do the right thing, to make the right decision." That's what our vision statement says. It says you have the power. So kudos to everybody in this room, first of all, because every one of you at some point sat down, had an interview, and somebody saw that in you. They saw the ability for you to deliver an outrageous experience and to be able to make those decisions. That's our culture. And that's why this vision statement is everything we do revolves around it. I want to share with you a couple of what we call maybe outrageous guest service stories. And you could probably tell me many from your experience as well. But let's look at a few. This one said, "We had inquired at the front desk where we could get a Coke. The front desk team apologized and said their machines only had Pepsi. About 10 minutes later, Joey showed up at our door with Cokes. You talk about over and above service, this is it." Well, first of all, this was a TripAdvisor comment, exactly word for word. We don't know how many hundreds or thousands of people have read this comment, but It was made possible by Joey Huff, who is a front desk agent at our Holiday Inn in Austin. And these people came in and just, where can I get a Coke? And he said, oh, all our machines only have Pepsi. And so the people, you know, they went to their rooms, and then Joey thought to himself, they need to have Coke. And I'm sure he thought about the vision statement.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Coca-Cola. Yeah, let's specify that, thank you. These people need to have some Coca-Cola. So what Joey does is he hopped in his car, and fortunately there was another person at the front desk to cover the desk, hopped in his car, drove over to the convenience store, bought a nice cold pack, 6-pack of Coke, went up, knocked on their door and said, hey, I'm here with your Coke. Didn't charge him anything for it, just gave it to him, said, have a great stay. And that resulted in this TripAdvisor comment. How do you suppose that guest felt when somebody knocked on their door and brought him Coke? Would you be amazed if somebody did that for you? Oh, I wouldn't even know what to do myself. I would go a lot further than just putting something on TripAdvisor. On the flip side of that, how do you think Joey felt when he reached out and gave them their 6-pack of Coke? You think he felt great? He probably felt better than the guest did.
And he probably felt really good that he had the power to do that and knew that someone wasn't going to reprimand him
Right.
or the desk, or, you know, that's a powerful thing in this company, and I'm really new, so most companies aren't that way.
And that's a great, great point, is that Joey knew that he was empowered to do that, and that the general manager wasn't going to come and yell at him for doing that. Because that's our culture. Our culture says we are empowered. Let's look at another example. I had left my phone charger at the hotel. Betty found it and offered to drop it off for me in Mankato since she was going to be there the next day. You are very fortunate to have an employee like this. In the future, all of my agents will be staying at Comfort Inn. This is Betty Siegler. She works the front desk at the Comfort Inn in Fairmont. And the lady had called and said, you know, I left my charger at the hotel. Is it there? And Betty said, yes, it is. You know, and I noticed as I was looking up your name that you live in Mankato. I'm going to be in Mankato tomorrow. Would it be all right if I just drop it off to you? Yeah, that'd be great. So the next day, Betty drove up to Mankato and had her address, knocked on her door and said, here, I've got your charger for you. A little backfill. The last sentence there says, all of my agents will be staying at Comfort Inn. This person happened to be a sales manager. And ever since this day, she's had all of her business stay at Comfort Inn because of the way Betty treated her. Betty had no intention of, you know, getting thousands of dollars of revenue for the hotel. Her thought process was, I'm going to treat this person the way I want to be treated. And she delivered an outrageous experience for that guest. Pretty cool. And not only did she deliver the outrageous guest experience, but she actually practiced several of our core values. You know, service and guest satisfaction, you before me. I mean, almost every one of them is wrapped up in this example. Kudos to Betty. Let's look at another example. In the morning, there wasn't any hot water. You guys will know this one. In the morning, there wasn't any hot water, so I called the front desk. Craig was on it right away. He had it fixed, recognized me from previous visits, and left me a very nice letter, coupons for free drinks, a points voucher, and a cute rubber duck. It was the most impressive way to apologize for the issue. The water wasn't a big deal, but he more than made up for it. Great customer service from Craig. What a great example by Craig. You know, he could have just gone up there, fixed it, and left and went on with his work. But not only did he understand that he was empowered to do something like this, but that he made it happen. He lived, again, a lot of our core values. And if you guys recall in the orientation video that you see at orientation, or hopefully have seen at orientation, one of the quotes that Mitch says in that video is that outrageous guest service is not only, who can tell me? Anybody remember? It's not only your right, but it's your responsibility. So not only do you have the right to deliver outrageous guest service, but you have the responsibility as part of our culture to exceed our guest expectations, and that's what outrageous is. And that's exactly what Craig did here.
Well, this is a great example, too, of Craig recognizing that his number one priority or number one job is guest service. A maintenance guy would go fix the problem and then go fix the next problem. A maintenance guy that does really well in TPI Hospitality recognizes that guest service is first. Yeah, he got it fixed, but he also gave a huge dose of guest satisfaction as well.
Great example.
Thanks. So let's take a look at another one. We asked Mr. King if there was a road service nearby to change our flat tire. He insisted that we go inside and enjoy a meal while he changed the tire. Mr. King did what you would never expect. Saying thank you seems woefully inadequate for how he treated us. This is Stephen King, and this is no relationship to the author. That's the first thing I hear. But Stephen King works at the Perkins down in Red Wing at the restaurant, and this elderly couple came in and started asking about, you know, if there's somebody who could fix their flat tire. And he says, no, no, no. He says, you don't have to do that. He says, I'm going to fix your flat tire. You go in and have lunch. I'm going to take care of it. So a little more backfill on this one as well. It was kind of a misty, rainy day outside. And Stephen knew that. And he had the guests sit down at the window booth there, had them start eating lunch. He went out, changed their flat tire for them. Then he came back in and, you know, while they sat there and watched him through the window out in the rain changing his tire. And, you know, what they say here is saying thank you seems woefully inadequate for how he treated us. When this letter came in, I was just blown away to see it in the first place. But I had an opportunity to meet with Stephen just shortly after this happened. And I said to Stephen, I said, Stephen, how did that make you feel when the guest, you know, got done and were ready to get back in the car? And he says, oh, it was great. He says they even tried to offer me a tip. And they were so thrilled to be able to eat lunch, have their tire fixed, and get on their way. That's outrageous guest service. And, you know, outrageous guest service, it's not a policy. It's not a procedure. Outrageous guest service is an attitude. It's an attitude that starts right here. And you've got to have a passion for other people to be able to deliver outrageous guest service. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you choose to do it, and then you make it happen. I want to look at one more example here. Justin was delivering zip-outs and saw that the girls in room 303 had left a note for Santa. So Justin played Santa and wrote a rhyming message for the girls. Let me tell you a little bit about this story. This family checked in on Christmas Eve, and there was 3 girls, 2 younger girls and a teenage girl, and mom and dad, and I think grandma and grandpa were there too. And they were checking into their rooms, and I hope I get all the details in here right, but as they checked in, the little kids were looking up at the front desk agent and said, we don't know if Santa's going to find us because it's Christmas Eve and we're not at home. And so they were worried that they weren't going to get a visit from Santa on that Christmas. And as they walked away from the desk, the mom says, don't worry. He says, we've got gifts for the kids. We're just going to leave them inside the door. So Justin knew what was going on. Later that night, Justin is making his rounds. He's dropping his zip-offs out, and he sees a sign hanging on the door. This is the sign he saw hanging on the door on room 303. Dear Santa, we don't have a chimney, as you can see. When you visit tonight, please use this key. And they actually taped the room key on the outside on this and left it on the outside of the door. Because they wanted Santa to be able to get gifts to them. And they didn't want Santa to miss them. And they signed it with their names, Love and Merry Christmas. And Justin, he could have very well just put his slip under the door and moved on. But he saw this, and what he did is he wrote his own message back to the family. And to blow this up so you can read it, he said, Dear Ayers family, when I arrived at the Homewood Suites, I knew my destination was 303. I looked for a chimney in my boots and mittens, and even enlisted the help of Donner and Blitzen. Though we checked the whole roof, it seemed our guest was doomed. I decided to leave your gifts outside your room. But to my jolly surprise, I found a key. Santa must be getting old, oh silly me. And he put this on the outside of the door. I'm not going to tell you any more about the story because I'm going to let you listen to the mother who left a voice message to Mitch.
Jill Ayers, I wanted to give you a call. My family has been staying at the Homewood Suites in the St. Louis Park area for several weeks. My daughter has been ill and seeking medical care there. We were linked up to your hotel. I just wanted to call and let you know personally how pleased and how overly impressed we have been. The hotel is extremely comfortable, but it's more than that. It's the staff that you have cultivated there. We had written a note. My oldest daughter is 16 and believes in Santa still, and so we all came up there to celebrate Christmas with my family, with my husband. My husband came with the other two kids, and I was there with my daughter who was getting medical care. My parents came up. We relocated up there, so we had Christmas all together since Anna was there, and we wrote a little note to stick on the door so that Sarah was so comfortable that Santa was going to find us at the hotel. We awoke in the morning to a beautiful poem that was taped to the door and signed by Santa. And truly, it brought tears to all of our eyes. My 6-year-old daughter said, I really do believe in Santa when she read the note. So we were all so touched. We found out today that was written by Justin, who works at the hotel. And I just wanted to let you know what an amazing Christmas moment that was for us. It will be something, a story we'll share forever. I'll share with many people, and a note that we will treasure. And everybody there, Ryan, Caitlin, the other people at the front desk, the people who do breakfast and meals, the maintenance staff, everybody, the cleaning staff, everybody has been so welcoming that it has made our stay, which has been a more difficult situation, much more comfortable and really made us feel like we're at home. So I just wanted to say thank you and let you know that they deserve some kudos, and you do too, for developing such a wonderful staff. My name again is Jill Ayers. If you have any questions or would like to see a copy of these notes, because they're truly incredible acts of kindness, it's area code 605-690-4785. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You know, and there's more to this story too. I had the opportunity to have 5 different phone conversations with Jill. She's not very technically adept, trying to figure out how to get the notes scanned. And unfortunately, her 16-year-old, who was technically savvy, was the one that was up in Golden Valley receiving treatment. And she was 16 years old, had a pretty significant eating disorder. They're from Iowa, and this was the best place they could bring their daughter. So they've been going through weeks, months actually, of both working parents. One would be home with the 2 younger daughters. One would come up here to be with Anna, and then they'd switch. So their family was in complete and total disarray. And they were at a very low point. The really cool thing is that we had the opportunity to interact with Justin, and he didn't know about what their story was until, so he didn't do it because they had this story. He didn't really know what they were all about. He just took the time, you know, like Pete said, he could just blown right by that. He stopped, he looked at it. He probably invested about 3 minutes of time, and I can guarantee you that you can hear her voice break out in that voicemail. There was a lot of tears shed in the subsequent voicemails or conversations that we had, and she said, you know, my voicemail really fell short. I don't think you really understand how what Justin did impacted us. We as a family were at one of the lowest points we'd ever been. You know, it was a godsend for us. He didn't know what was going on. And she said, I can absolutely tell you that this is a story that we will share with anybody who wants to listen. Anytime hospitality comes up, this story will be shared. Anytime guest service or customer satisfaction comes up, this story is going to be shared. And she said, you have my absolute commitment that I will communicate this story to anybody that's willing to listen, until at which point I can't remember the story anymore. It's pretty powerful. I mean, does every touch and go wind up having this kind of an impact? No. But sometimes it can. And, you know, just the simplest thing can sometimes mean the most to somebody else. And it's actually cool. There's so many more I wish we could have shared, but.
There absolutely is. We could sit here all day long and tell story after story after story. What really stays with me, and we've listened to that recording now I don't know how many times, is when she says, the mother says, that Justin created what she called an amazing Christmas moment for her family. And her voice crackles as she says it. And she is so genuine in what she's saying. That is really cool. Makes me be proud, makes me very proud to be part of an organization that has anybody that can have that kind of impact on somebody. And what's really amazing is that not only does Justin have the empowerment to do that, but every one of us do too. And you know what? That's exactly why we're in the hospitality industry. It's because every day that we work, we have an opportunity to affect somebody's life just the way Justin did. There's opportunities all day long in everything you do. And I want to go back to something I said at the beginning of our gathering today. But you've all been gifted with the ability of leadership. You all have the ability to deliver an amazing experience for the people around you. Not only your guests, but the people working right next to you. You have an ability to make these people successful, to make yourself successful. And what I really want you to remember is you have that ability. Don't waste it. It's right there. It's right there in front of your face. Every day you come to work, you have the ability to affect the lives of other people in a positive way. Every day you come to work, you have to think about that. And don't waste that ability you've been given, because it's really powerful. And in all these examples that we showed up here of outrageous guest service, I guarantee you the person that delivered the outrageous guest service got more out of it than the guest did. When we talked to Justin about this, the guy was just about in tears. He couldn't believe what an impact it had. There's opportunities out there. Just don't waste them. They're right there. So far today, to get to the end, and we've talked about outrageous guest service, we go back to our word cloud. We talked about leadership and the opportunity we all have to lead others around us and to be leaders. We talked about core values, our 9 core values that guide everything we do, that guide all the decision making that we have. We talked about vision, which is our vision statement. And our vision statement, again, it's not just a fancy phrase we think it's cool to have. That's who we are, and it's who we're always going to be. And the last thought I really want you to keep in mind is that while you're working, remember that great leaders, which is everyone in this room, we have about 1,600 leaders at TPI. Great leaders who practice core values, which we've talked about today, and are led by vision, which is our vision statement, creates success. Great leaders using core values led by vision create success. You want a couple words before we finish up?
It's actually pretty rare that we get together in a forum like this, so it would be kind of foolish on my part not just to take a few minutes and pass on a few thoughts. I think we're down to, we have one more rally after today, so we've completed how many?
This is the 11th one.
The 11th one. So I've had a lot of time to reflect, and you know, it kind of amazes me with where we are today. I started with Tom 26 years ago when you know, we had three hotels, and to see what has evolved to the point that we're at right now, that actually humbles me. It blows me away to where we were to where we are, and we still have a long way to go as well. But as we've gone through these rallies, I've had the opportunity to do some self-reflection, and I realize that you all are the reason that I'm inspired to get up and go to work in the morning. You're the ones that make this fun for me. It's hard sometimes, but it's still really fun, and it's the little stories like this, the information that comes back to me. Pete said, you know, somebody may not recognize it, but somebody does see it. And there's a lot that I see through other people's eyes, and I know you're doing some tremendously awesome things, and I've got a profound sense of appreciation for that. I wish, it's unfortunate Tom is not able to be here today, but I know that I can speak for him, and that you know, you guys serve as the inspiration to us to get up and do whatever it is we do each day, and you also motivate us very highly to create an even better company than we have today for tomorrow and into the future. We want to constantly be looking. We have kind of a little different perspective on organizational structure than most people do in the industry, and that'd be, you know, it's like a top-down. You know, the big boss sits on top, and then everybody reports up to him. We kind of have a philosophy that it's the other way around. We answer to and serve you, and we take that responsibility very seriously. So you know, we're wide open, we're accessible. Any thoughts, feedback, criticisms you might ever have, I got big enough shoulders to listen to what somebody has to say, and I promise you won't get in trouble, except for you.
And I say a lot, so.
Yeah, it should make sense. But I guess lastly, and very simply, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you do, the sacrifices you make, the frustrations you endure, the outrageous guest service that you deliver. They're an awesome group of people, and I'm proud to be associated with you. And, stay sharp and be outrageous. So thanks for all you do.
You've probably seen signs like this hanging around your property, kind of announcing today and what was going on. And at the bottom it says, featuring guest service heroes. You know, everybody in this room is a guest service hero. Everybody's got an opportunity to deliver an outrageous experience.